Pick up your gear and open your chests. Throw on your armor and head out on a quest. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. On the Sword Coast, your allies will help with blades and bows and magic as well. Hey, hey, heroes on their way. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, hit you while I'm there. Idle champions, you reset again. Idle champions. From Waterdeep to Icewind Dale, head out to Chull or Shadowfell, hey, hey. Together we stay. Walk to the monsters, walk to the boss, walk to the right, it's never a loss, hey, hey. Bad guys to slay. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, hit you while I'm there. Idle champions, you reset again. Idle champions.
Hey, that's my cue. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Saturday morning. My name is Gaarawarr. I am here to talk about Gaarawarr's Guide to the Epic Champions of Renown. We're going to do that on this show. This is the tutorial show. So we will spend the first roughly hour or so talking. I will be talking on topic about the Epic Champions of Renown. And then the second hour will be Q&A. And I will address, things related to this first. And then, whatever. So if you have questions, you could throw them in chat. Just know they're not going to be answered until the second half of the show. But I'll get to them. Hey, look, I'm live. But first things first, as always, code. Ah, man. Yay, Electrum chests. All right. So, lots of people here already. Welcome, everybody. So, if you don't know, this is not related to the Epic Champions of Renown. Is not related to the Epic Battles weekend that is going on right now. But this is cool too. The Epic Champions of Renown is in relation to a Champions of Renown pack that is going to happen on the Epic Game Store this coming week. So I want to say, somewhere around like the 28th or 29th or 30th. I can't remember the exact day. End of the month, basically. And it's going to feature the 5 champions you see on the screen here. It's also going to have a couple familiars, so we talk about familiars. Familiars are the easy part of this conversation. They're basically little automation assistants. They will do all the things for you. So, if you hold down F, shows all of these little bars. You can hover over them to see what the little things do. So hover over the little white places. It'll tell you everything, right? So we're gonna throw one out here just for a second. See, look, it does all the clickies. It clicks things for you. Isn't that nice? That's familiars in a nutshell. I really want to do the whole Austin Powers in a nutshell thing, but yeah, I won't. Yeah, it should be Thursday the 29th should be the start. There's also going to be 2 days of streaming for all the community, not just for Epic players, but for everybody. starting on the 29th, so Thursday and Friday of next week. That's going to be kind of cool. I think Thursday it starts at like 7 a.m. Pacific. Super early. And then the normal 9 on Friday. So there'll be a lot of streams, a lot of different kinds of streams, a lot of the same kinds of streams. I'll be there. I think Mars is going to be there. You'll see, a lot of us. So let's dive into this. Epic Champions of Renown. They're going to be Nova, Human, Krull, Spurt, and Black Viper. So an interesting combination of champions to help you progress in your game. It is actually a decent mix. You're going to have Nova. Nova is a tank. We'll go over her. She's the one in the front in the blue. Human is a support and speed champion. Human is actually... Don't tell anybody. Human's 3 kobolds in a trench coat. Krull, the big turtle boy in the middle there, is a support, debuffer, and a gold provider, so super fantastic. Spurt in the back. You may have seen Spurt on Critical Role, or you may not. He was only there for like 20 minutes before he died. But, it's a thing. Spurt's here. He's a super support in the back. And then all the way in the back in the red, we have Black Viper. Black Viper's a DPS. She does the stabbies. That's it. That's what she does. She stabs things and steals things. All right. Shh, nobody knows. Nobody knows he's 3 kobolds in a trench coat. Yeah, don't give that away. Don't give that away. And not the greatest dexterity either, because see how he's wobbling around? Or they, excuse me. It is 3. So, the plural. All right, so let's dive in. Let's go from front to back here, and almost backwards, completely here. Nova's slot 11. Going to swap with, usually this is going to be Jamila's slot if you're a brand new player. Slot 11. Ooh, what's the... Oh, yeah, the skin's got a gem skin. That purple Valkyrian Empire Nova. Air Genasi Warlock. Tank and support. So you don't only have to use them as a tank. If you have other tank options, you can go with that. And Nova could run support, but Nova does a lot of interesting things. She's one of the members of the Heroes of Arowa, so she comes to us from a whole other plane of existence, and has some friends in the game that you can collect. Ayla, Lucius, Nova, Keelik, and Sentry is the whole team. Basic attack, Dissect. Nova leaps out and slices through the nearest enemy with Tiangong. That's the sword, folks. If she kills a normal enemy, it will always drop a monster heart. Monster hearts? Well, it is called Dissect. Nova cuts things up and takes samples with her along her journey, and we'll get more into that. Ultimate is activate Tiangong. Nova levitates up in the air, like you do, as Tiangong floats in front of the formation, releasing 3 waves of blue energy that deal damage to all enemies. Yeah, we'll see that in a bit. It's pretty cool. Nova starts right off into her abilities. Curiosity. There's a lot to read here. Obviously, you can see the first 2 abilities, lots to read, but these are kind of the cores of the kit. Once you kind of understand what's going on, then you can run with it. Nova's intrinsically curious about the world around her. When monsters are killed, there's a chance she'll collect a trophy from it. Trophies augment her abilities and reset every run. So these aren't like, I'm just going to farm up a lot and then I get that power next run. It's one run at a time, folks. One run at a time. Bosses always drop monster brains, which provide big buffs, and we like big buffs. Cannot lie. But only drop once per boss run. Normal monsters have a 10% chance to drop monster hearts. A guaranteed drop if killed by Dissect. So if she actually does the killing, it's guaranteed. But, I mean, we all know that only really happens early on. Because not the DPS. And monster hearts can be farmed indefinitely and provide smaller buffs. So, you can always sit on a level and farm monster hearts if you want later. That's kind of the smaller bonus. You can do it, but... Discovery. Nova increases the damage of the 5 champions in the formation with the highest intelligence score. She likes brainy people. Or at least, you know, relatively. Because even if your highest intelligence score in the party is an 8, you know, the top 5 people with an 8 are going to get it, right? Or down. Like, it can start at, you can have people ranging, like if the 5 ranges from 18 to 8, and that's the top 5, that 8 is still going to be in that group. So she's going to list this off on the Formation Buffs page. We'll show that in a bit, so you'll know who's being covered. This effect is buffed by 0.1% for each monster heart she has collected, so there's some of our stacking already, and that stacks additively, the 0.1% stacks additively, but then it applies multiplicatively against the total bonus. And 10% for each monster brain she's collected. That stacks multiplicatively because, I don't know if you know this, folks, but you only get a certain number of bosses in a run, right? And you can't farm the boss brains. So, you know, Nova's one of those people who rewards you the deeper you can go in a run, as opposed to just, you know, doing short runs. So she's the kind of the if you want to get big buffs on her, she's the one you want, like, in from the very beginning. You definitely want her in at level 1, which is why I'm sitting here at level 1. And you want her there the entire time. And yes, there is an interaction with Briv. Briv is a champion who can skip levels. If he skips a boss level, you still get the brain, folks. You still get the brain. There are certain things that Briv gives you even when he skips levels, and anything comes out of the boss bag, and the brain is one of those things. Level 60, Protective Field. Nova increases the max health of all other champions by 25% of her base max health. This is the standard health share from tanks. Or should be. Most tanks should have this kind of health share. This is one of the things that makes them the tanks. This is how they promote and protect the other people in their party. Close Encounter. Nova increases difficulty of discovery for each enemy attacking her, or the effect of discovery, for each enemy attacking her, and each point of enemy or boss in rage, stacking additively and then applying multiplicatively. That's a lot of ways to say that when you get a large number of enemies beating on her, she buffs you harder because she wants you to kill them. Get them off me. Get them off me. This is the get them off me buff. Slow. Nova attacks slow the movements of enemies she damages by 50% for 5 seconds. Enemies that are slowed by this ability deal half damage to Nova. This, I find, is good for bosses when you have a boss by itself, because it's going to slow them and their approach to your formation, but also if they're hitting her, it's going to be half damage. So a little bit of a survivability feature. On regular enemies, it's okay. You get a little bit of a slow, which is, again, a bit of a survival feature, but not a lot, because she's a single target attacker. All right, and then we jump into Specialization Choices. So this is where you get to decide, like, okay, is your DPS really not that intelligent? Are they not in the top 5? If they're not in the top 5, Mass Appeal can help. Discovery now applies to the top 8 champions by int score. So that's a way, you know, figure it out. You don't want, you kind of have to build around this, otherwise you're missing the whole buff, and it's kind of a big deal. Journaling, if they're already in the top 5, you go journaling. You just double down on discovery. Makes it real easy. I only have 5 champions out here, so we're going journaling. We're going journaling. Okay, let me hit this. I don't know if did I have enough gold to soft cap? No, not yet. Okay. People are like, you're only on level 1. Of course you don't. I have a lot of favor. Failsafe. This one, I don't know. Probably the most underwhelming part of Nova's kit. Despite this being about overwhelm. When Nova becomes overwhelmed, Tiangong creates a protective barrier around Nova, giving her 250 hit points of temporary HP and stunning her until the shield is broken or she is no longer overwhelmed. This can only trigger once per area. The amount of temp HP granted is increased for each monster brain she has collected. So, you know, the further you go, the larger this shield can be, but frankly, it doesn't get very big, folks. It only happens the one time. And she's stunned while she's in it. It's real. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's like basically you get one free hit. Has been what I've seen. Yeah. Cosmic Resonance, this is the Heroes of Arowa feature. So Heroes of Arowa are automatically buffed by Discovery and not included in the calculations for highest int score. So that means if you're using a Heroes of Arowa party and you're adding in other people along with it, you don't have to worry about the int scores. You have to worry about if Lucius, who would be the DPS there, then he's just going to get that automatically. And then here's another one, the Arowa Synergy. All of the Heroes of Arowa members have this and contribute to a pool. Nova contributes to the pool 60% per champion buffed by Discovery. So the more people that you have that are super intelligent that fall into that top, like if they're all sharing the same stats effectively, then they all get buffed because ties get included. Then this adds a huge buff, and then Discovery is then increased by 25% of the total pool. So right now we're seeing an increase of, or the pool is 948, so 25% of that is getting multiplied against Discovery. And then, like I said before, we're going to come over here. See, it's tracking Monster Hearts because we haven't hit a boss yet. I should probably turn this on. Here we go. Let's turn on some progress. It's tracking Monster Hearts. So far, I've collected 297. You can see that Discovery is applying. You can see the amounts. You can see a Monster Heart buff that's applying to it. And you can see currently targeting everybody because, like I said, there's only 5 people out here. So there's pretty good tracking on Nova. That's not always the case with champions, but it's not bad here. This is the health share that everybody's getting. So everybody's getting the EO4. So yeah, everything's doing pretty good. Everything's doing pretty good. And as you can see right here, no brain buff. No brain buff. Feats-wise, she's got 2. No. Every time. I gotta make that joke every time or I'm not doing my job, folks. The usual tanking support stuff. So you get increased damage of all champions. You get increased Nova's health. And then she's also going to target her abilities. So Discovery and Close Encounter both get some buffages if you'd like. Depending on what you're looking for. And here comes the ultimate. Let's wait until we switch levels here because I don't want it doing its thing and then as you notice, the damage increased by 1% for every 20 Monster Hearts Nova is collected, stacking additively. So again, this goes up too. All right, here we go. Here we go. It's probably going to pulse up pretty quick because there's not going to be a lot of enemies on the field. There it is, floating. And those are the pulses. And then she just, settles back down and we're back to business. So I'm going to throw a familiar over here on Nova because we're done talking about her. Let's go talk about 3 kobolds. I mean, definitely a human champion. Human, Rogue Bard, support, 0 affiliation because, I don't know, I guess 3 kobolds in a trench coat don't really have a union? I don't know. Their base attack is a crossbow bolt. The middle kobold, whoever that is, because they switch positions sometimes, shoots a random enemy with a small crossbow. I feel like, that might give away the gag, but oh, you know what I need to do? Hold on, folks. We talked about feats, but we didn't talk about items. Again, normal support tank stuff. So damage all champions items, a health item. This is always super important for a tank. And then they just dive into Discovery because everything kind of builds around Discovery. They only really have to give you a Discovery buff, or they only choose to. And then it's ultimate stuff. Okay, back to Human. Teamwork. Teamwork makes the 3 kobolds in a trenchcoat dream work. So everything kind of changes about Human based on where you place them in the formation. Again, this portion of this it tells you a lot. As you can see already, there's some inactive notifications, so you know which thing is working and which isn't, and this happens in a couple places. So it's very important to kind of understand and know based off where you're placing them what's happening, because whenever the thing a champion can do changes based off where you put them, you have to know more information, or at least you have to know to come over here and look, right? So, front X number of columns. I say X because the number here is currently 2, but that's because we're in a 5-column formation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Columns are lines of of stuff. We're in a 5-column formation. If it was a 3-column formation, it would just be the front 1 column. If it was a 6, it would stay 2. If it's a 4, I don't know. I don't know if it does 1 or 2 or not. The nice thing is this number will change, and you can always go look at it. So, Zrang, front-ish columns, enemies have a % chance to drop double quest items or count for double quest progress. This is a speed effect, so this speeds up how quickly you can complete levels, and how quickly, thus, you progress through the game. This is not an official role, which is why it just says support and not speed, but it is an unofficial role in the community. These types of champions are referred to as speed champions. If we go into the middle-ish columns, increase the damage of champions against boss enemies. If the boss is hits-based or armor-based, then successful attacks destroy twice as many segments as they normally would. So hits-based, that's where everything about their health, instead of like the crabs that are coming on the screen right now that just have one giant health bar, you'll see lots of little segments. And if you hover it over it, each segment, you can tell, like if there's 25 segments, they'll have 25 total health, which means there's 1 health per segment. That's how it's hits based, because you literally just have to smack it once and a hit comes off and a point comes off. You don't have to do some kind of amount of damage. It's just 1, and everybody usually everybody does 1. There's exceptions to that rule. And then armor based is it will show those segments, but it's like there also shows a little shield on it. So when you attack, it's like a shield, and if you don't have enough damage, it's basically like you're ramming into the shield. So they'll still have, usually 50 segments for an armored enemy. And you've got to hit it, 50 times. And each time you hit it, it has to be enough damage to break through that shield, which means it has to be, they take the total health of the creature, however many E that is, and then divide it by 50. And then whatever that is that's how much damage you've got to do. So with normally those are things that bosses and enemies that effectively slow down your progress. They're like roadblocks. But when you have a champion that does provides double for hit or armor based health, obviously you're going through it twice as fast. But you can actually, if you put multiple champions like this in, because Human isn't the only one who gives you double credit, then you can get, multiple times credit. And attacking with one champion can take off almost all of it sometimes, depending on how many attacks they get. Yasa is the last one. The back-ish columns increase the damage of champions in the 2 columns in front of Human. So, as you can see, Zrang, for teamwork, Zrang is going to provide speed. Cleave provides damage against bosses, and progress against bosses with the hits and armor-based stuff. And then Yasa's all about the trash mobs. Yasa's just generic buff to everything. Right? So, hello, fellow humans. Increases the effect of Cleave and Yasa's teamwork abilities based on the number of the other champions in the formation. So this is just Cleave and Yasa. If we go up here and then we look again, Cleave is the boss damage. Yasa is the generic everything damage. This is based on the number of other humans in the formation. So depending on this number, you're going to get a multiplier. That can be nice if it makes sense that you're putting humans in. You don't necessarily just want to throw in a bunch of humans just to magnify this buff. It needs to make sense for them to be in the party. They need to either be providing top DPS, or they need to be doing a solid support job, or be a super tank. That's going to be helpful for you. That's where you want to go with that. But it's, consider this a bonus. I mean, if it makes sense to build around it, sure. But if it doesn't, there's other things going on. Carefully balanced, though, this affects Zrang, because you notice Zrang was left out of Hello, Fellow Humans. This affects Zrang's teamwork ability and multiplies it for each champion adjacent to them. Right? Stacks additively and then applies to teamwork multiplicatively. This basically is a multiplier on the speed effect. And this has a supportive item. I bring this up because this is the black hole of Human. People dump outrageous amounts of item levels to get this up a lot, because you can actually get to the point where you kill one enemy on the screen and you progress, because That's what this does. That's what Zrang's thing does, is give you credit. Enemies have a chance to drop double quest items, sure. But once you get above 100%, then it's a chance to drop more and to give more credit, right? So that's what you're looking for with Human as a speedster. You want to pump up those rainbow eggs, that slot 4. You want to pump those up to a super high percentage, and make sure he's in the front, and then get credit for just killing one thing, or just a couple things, right? All right. Special choice. Did we say humans? We meant this basically is, if you're trying to multiply the buff that they're getting, that you're either getting with Klebe or Yasa against either bosses or trash mobs. And you don't have humans, but you have a significant number of something else in your party of the same kind of race. You can do this. You can you can basically change what Hello Fellow Humans applies to. This does not change. People get confused here. This does not change what Human is. Human is still a human and 3 kobolds in a trench coat. He still counts for 1 human and 1 kobold. This just changes what Hello Fellow Humans buffs. Keep that in mind. Some people thought it changed what Human is, and it doesn't. Impressive coat work just multiplies the teamwork abilities. So if you're usually just by 100%. So if you have something that is a multiplier that is not humans, and it will give you more than 100% for Klebe and Yasa, usually you go over here. But if you're looking for that speed effect, or if you don't, or you're looking for just the most speed possible, you go impressive coat work. All right, let me take this up the fast way, and then we'll throw a familiar there. All right, please stand by. The 2 kobolds that are not on top, again, whoever's on top changes based off where you place them in the formation. So thus, whoever's on the bottom changes too. So Zrang's on top because I have him in the front-ish columns. But Zrang, if he were active, would say boss enemies move 25% slower. So just a minor kind of survivability feature that really only works on bosses that move. Which, as we know, not all of them do. Some just sit in place and do stuff, and thus this would do nothing for them. Klebe, hits-based enemies have a 50% chance of spawning with 25% of their hits already gone. So that's nice. It's a nice little bonus. Yasa reduces the base attack cooldowns of champions adjacent to the kobolds by a half a second. That's actually pretty solid. In that case, in a lot of cases, you would want them near the DPS, but there's also potentially others in the party that you would want them near if that was applying. And we'll get to that. Like, Spurt works well with this. Krull works well with this. So, speeding up base attacks can be super awesome, even if not only for your DPS. So keep that in mind. And then ultimate, ultimate's the last thing. Okay, we'll get into the ultimate. All the buffs over here, again, it'll tell you the columns, which is nice. It tells you the current top kobold. Zrang, kobold of the month. You know what I'm talking about. This will tell you how many stacks you have currently of whatever, and tell you if you're getting a bonus and what that bonus is. So you can see. And then again, carefully balanced. Tells you stacks. We only have like 2 champions next to us, so we're only getting 178 on that. But you can see it's already affecting over here. It's taking us up to 139.5. So that's not bad. And then this is just straightforward. I mean, these don't change, but at least it's showing it there, which is not bad. Feats wise, the normal support type stuff. So damage all champions, and then it gets into all of the abilities. Here's Hello Fellow Humans. Here's carefully balanced. Again, this is kind of the speed one, so it's kind of where you want to go. And then they throw an int one in here, and this is specifically so that I can tell you the main thing this qualifies you for is Strahd as a patron. So picking up this intelligence +1 will let you use Human in your Strahd patron runs. Not something you have to worry about as a new player, but later on, definitely is. Definitely is. Hey, look at that. See? This is hits based. As you can tell, when we hovered over it, it says, X out of 50 HP. That's how you know. It started off with 50 chunks, and each one's worth 1 HP. Otherwise, it would have shown a normal, super huge health number, and would have also had those chunks, right? We're going to skip over Black Viper. You know what? No. Let's move. Let's rearrange the order here. Let's make Black Viper next. Black Viper, my favorite champion in the game. Not because they're amazing, just because I like their whole story, and their vibe and their look. Backstories are cool. I don't get to use them as much as I would like. Hopefully they will be more epic in the future, but they're a solid, if you're starting off and they're going to give you Black Viper, and the way this pack works is you get these champions, you get 16 gold chests for each champion, and 2 shinies. Shinies are, if you don't know what those are, and you probably don't if you're brand new, they multiply the power of one of the items by 50%. And that's, that sticks around as that item gets more and more item levels, and item levels make it more powerful. Thus, you're getting a lot of free power just as you level it up. So yeah, she'll probably be a solid starting champion for you. Base attack, on guard. Black Viper attacks a random enemy with her daggers. Random. Random's random. It's not always going to be what you want. She's just going to attack a random enemy. She's a human rogue. No affiliation, because she does her own thing. She is pure DPS, so if she is not your best DPS option, then she shouldn't be in the formation for you, right? Somebody else should. Keep that in mind. As you can see, there's a lot going on here. Black Viper is what you might call a collector. Certain, like we had Nova. Nova was a collector of hearts and minds, so I like to call it. But Nova's stuff resets at the end of every run. Black Viper collects gems, jewels, and keeps them and hoards them and stacks up her power over all the runs to a limit. She has a final limit, and I'll show you with that. There are some stacking champions that don't have limits, but Black Viper was the first one they ever introduced that had that had a feature like this, and I think they were a little afraid to maybe go overboard on it, so they capped it a bit. Adds a 25% chance that a red gem will drop from a boss loot sack. So when you play the games and you kill a boss, green gems drop out of the sack, a varied number. This adds a red gem. It doesn't take the place of one of the green gems, so don't worry that she's stealing your greens. It adds a red gem, potentially, 25% chance. Each red gem collected in the current adventure grants 10% damage bonus, stacking multiplicatively. So even just in your current adventure, again, this is a champion you want in from zone as early as possible, ideally pre-5, right? You want to get, if you can get these, you're probably not as a new player getting Black Viper and Nova in pre-5, but you want to get them in for as many bosses as possible. Each red gem collected across all adventures permanently unlocks additional bonuses. So gems collected this adventure, only one so far, but there's a tracker for that. Total gems collected across all adventures, I've only got like almost 16,000. And I say only because there are people out there that have exorbitant amounts. But this caps, as you can see down here on this list, at 6,500. So the bonuses are going to cap at 6,500. Anything above that is just for your own fun to collect currently. If they ever uncap this or add something, then having a large amount will matter. So this is going to affect a lot of her other abilities. So we're going to skip explaining this. We're going to come back to it once you know what those abilities are, so it makes sense. Sneak attack. Black Viper deals more damage the first time she attacks an enemy, so she really wants to one and done it. That big burst is coming on that first attack. If she can't kill something on that first attack, you might be in trouble, because every attack after that's going to be a lot less damage. Aura of Infamy. All positional formation abilities Black Viper receives. So any ability, positional formation ability is any ability that says like champions adjacent to this receive a buff, or champions in the column in front of, or champions in the column behind of, or things like that give directional notes are positional formation abilities. So any of these she receives from warlocks, rangers, rogues, and bards are buffed. So this is telling you right out the gate that to really optimize your Black Viper formation, you want to build a team that has, you hope that your big buffers are going to be Warlocks, Rangers, Rogues, and Bards to assist her, because that's all going to get multiplied. As you can see, this isn't this isn't an ability, but it is something I'm going to call out. Black Viper's base attack attacks one additional target. Some DPS gain extra attacks, even some support sometimes, but some DPS gain extra attacks as they level up. Black Viper's one of those. So she starts off as just a single target attacker and then starts attacking multiple. Distracted foes. When other champions are attacked, so once the enemies have reached your tank line, Black Viper deals 200% more damage on her next attack. Stacks up to 10 times additively. So you can have a nice extra bonus damage. This is a ramping effect. Normally you see ramping effects on tanks themselves, but sometimes you see them on other champions, and this is one of those cases. So Black Viper gets angry that you're attacking her friends, or companions. I don't know if she has friends. And does more damage. Right. So if we come back, let me I'll get into the specs. We'll make sure we touch everything. Assassinate. Black Viper can sneak attack enemies on her first 2 attacks against them. And she attacks a half a second faster after she sneak attacks. This is interesting. It's an interesting feature. I'm not going to lie. I tend to always go Collector. It increases the drop chance for red gems by 33% and increases the damage bonus in the current adventure by 2.5% per gem. Because for me, it's all about getting all the gems. But this is real neat. If you know, if you're doing a variant and you know you've got enough damage to finish, even without collecting tons and tons of gems, because you're not necessarily going to your wall, you're just trying to get to some artificial number, then you go this, because you're going to get quicker wave clear and faster attacks, which is quicker wave clear. But if you're trying to really push your wall and you're not really sure, I like to go Collector. Just give me all the gems. All the gems. I want them all in my bag. Oh, I don't even have to put a familiar there because we're at the soft cap. All right. Did she get anything after that? I don't think so. Just wanted to make sure. Yeah, just more attacks. Like you can see down here. Here's another additional attack. So you can get lots of attacks. So let's go back and look at what we get for collecting lots of gems over time. 10 gems total, which doesn't take long. Aura of Infamy now affects Rangers and Warlocks. So I included that in my original inclusion because this was unlocked. But normally, Aura of Infamy is only going to be Rogues and Bards. But once you get 10 gems, which isn't a whole lot, you can jump into Rangers and Warlocks as well. Get up to 50, increase max stacks of distracted foes by 5, and increase the damage per stack by 100%. Nice bonus, so it's buffing other abilities. And then at 300, the effect of Black Viper's gear gets plus 25%, except for ultimate cooldown. Nothing ever really modifies this. And then after that, it's just, multipliers on her overall damage. But again, caps at 6,500. In general, because she is a pure DPS champion, you're going to get self-damage items. And then this is going to buff Aura of Infamy, and this is going to buff the sneak attack. So again, going all in on that first attack, and then getting buffed by all those specific classes. She does get a damage all champions item, which I still don't understand why it exists. She's not a DPS support. This is, for all intents and purposes, another buff for her, because she's a champion, right? But as you can see, it's a lower percentage buff whenever it's spreading out to everybody than it is if it's focused, right? Focused, there's 1,000. Well, granted, that's got a golden, so that's 500-ish. This is 300-ish. Still, it's a lower buff, but it is another damage. It's just weird that it's all champs. This is not normal. But neither is Black Viper. And then this is cooldown on ultimate. Her ultimate, which reminds me, ultimate smoke screen. Black Viper throws down a massive smoke screen, hindering enemies and helping herself. What does that mean? Reduces damage done to the formation, so survivability for tanks, and causes all of her attacks to be sneak attacks. So this is that situation where, again, remember, normally she only sneak attacks on the first attack, and you can choose that spec to make it a first 2. But really, if you're to the point where, one attack, like she's not killing things on one attack, then you get to the point where you kind of have to have a familiar on the ultimate, and you're really wave clearing when her ultimate's up, because she gets sneak attacks over and over and over and over again. I think my thing automatically put a familiar here on Human's ultimate, which is kind of what you want to do. We didn't talk about Human's ultimate. I guess we should come back to that. It changes. I think that's why I didn't. They pepper a random enemy with bolts. The kobolds do, and then the effect of something is changed. When Zrang is on top, it doubles teamwork, which basically means it doubles his speed effect, right? When we move him back, it's probably hard to see there. Here, now non-boss enemies are stunned, and no additional enemies will spawn for 15 seconds when you hit it. This can be interesting on boss levels, right? Because you can basically just make it so that no trash mobs spawn. Or if you're having a hard time dealing with all of the stuff coming in, you can just stun them all, and then you have to worry about extra spawn. And then if we go all the way to the back, when you hit the ult, now it reduces the ultimate cooldown of all champions by 25%, which can be real neat if you need lots of ult effects for things. The one thing I will say is this is not great for Spurt. So combining this with Spurt, and we'll talk about that in a minute, Spurt actually wants his ultimate to be as long as possible. So this wouldn't be a great combination for Spurt. But being up here in the front, when this goes off, it basically speeds up because it gives you more credit for things. So it makes you move even faster through the game. All right, let's talk about Krull. Krull's a big bad boy. Member of the Dark Order. That's Archon the Cruel, and Torgar. He's a Turtle Cleric. And he's totally awesome. He is a support Goldfind champion, and he provides his support via debuffs. So when we talk about like huge buffers, and then which are like Avron's a huge buffer, but then you talk about debuffers. Debuffers are like a different kind of support, because buffers are just going to straight up give you pure damage on your attack. Whereas a debuffer affects an enemy in a negative way. And that, it would seem like that would be the same thing, but it's not always. Because you can debuff things, and then based off those debuffs, you can click them to death. Instead of just attacking them to death with your champion. So debuffs can work in a different way than buffs do. And Krull is a major debuffer. I would say he's the king, still the reigning king of debuffs. We have a new queen, though, and that's Orkira, but that's a whole other episode. So Necrotic Touch is his base attack. Krull functions off his base attacks. This is why, having that extra bonus speed off of Human when they're in the back, having Krull next to them makes sense, because Krull wants to attack as many things as possible, as quickly as possible. Because he attacks a random enemy with his maul, and he adds a plague if possible, or adding 2 stacks to each of their plagues. So we come over here. What's a plague? Well, Draconic Plague. This is kind of the core of his kit. Every 5 seconds, Krull applies a Draconic Plague to the next enemy to spawn. So you get 1 automatically every 5 seconds. The rest are applied by base attacks. So the plagues gain attack every 3 seconds, increasing their power and capping at 10 stacks. So there's 3 kinds of plagues. Pilfer makes enemies drop more gold when they die. Pain makes them take more damage when they're damaged by anything. And Traitor, when an affected enemy is damaged, nearby enemies receive a % of that damage per stack. So Traitor basically makes the damage you do to something AoE. So even if you have a single target attacker, suddenly it's going to burst out with AoE damage, and it's going to be a multiple of that damage. So you can hit something, and we get a lot of people that use Krull that then complain, well, everything but one enemy died on my screen, and now I can't kill that enemy. Traitor. Right, because Traitor multiplied the damage you did to that one enemy, and that multiplier was enough to kill everyone else on the screen, but that didn't hit that enemy because you hit the enemy for the base amount, right? So these are the plagues. The longer... it doesn't do a whole lot when you're killing things instantly, obviously. But the longer things are alive as they stack up on your formation, the more plague stacks they gain, and thus the more damage they take or the more gold they drop. So for new players, this is great because, one, you get to do a lot more damage just right off the bat with plagues as they stack up. It's super nice, and Pain and Traitor are nice wave clear. But then when things start slowing down a bit, all of a sudden you start stacking up and earning lots of gold because those pilfer stacks will start building up. And then gold when you're new. Gold means you're upgrading your champions, and that means more damage. So Crow creates a nice little snowball effect for brand new players who still have lots of progress based off favor. When you get towards the end of the game, favor isn't as important anymore. Gold is not as important anymore on a run. Like you can see, I mean, I'm only 60 levels in, and I've already maxed out my characters. So gold doesn't help me a whole lot here, but for new players, it absolutely does. So keep that in mind. Krull is really good in that case. Virulent Strain, though, here's the big thing. So plagues are the core of his kit, but Virulent Strain is what makes Krull super strong. When an enemy with a plague dies, there's a % chance that its plague will transfer to another enemy. It's possible for an enemy to gain multiple copies of the same plague when this occurs, and each stack multiplicatively. So if you can get 10 on one enemy and 10 on another, we're going to say there's only 2 enemies left, and you kill one, if it triggers, Virulent Strain triggers, it transfers those 10 or that extra stack over to this other enemy, and this one was at 10, then moves to 11 and ticks up to 20. And that can go to 30 and then to 40, and it stops at 40. You can have a max of 4 unique stacks of plagues. And because those multiply multiplicatively against each other, shenanigans. If you can get kind of the holy grail of gold farming and trying to get gold in this game is getting 40 stacks of pilfer. It's a little harder to do than it used to. They fixed a bug on him that made it easier. But still, this is in-game, or not in-game stuff. This is stuff later on stuff once you unlock a champion called a Zaka. Gold farming a 40 stack enemy is just money. All right, we're going to run into, ultimate. Let's talk about the ultimate. Corrupted Ghouls. Krull summons 4 ghouls that rush toward the nearest enemy and explode. It's gross, folks. It's gross. There they go. And when they explode, if they don't hit an enemy, they just run into the back wall. And then they create those pools of goo that was left over from their body. And those pools do damage every second to anything that crosses their path. It's a big deal. Krull's ult it can be a pretty big deal. Spec choice, you're either going to go all in on Pilfer, Pain, or Traitor. And to me, this depends on what you're trying to do. If you're a newer player and just starting out, then gold is still super powerful for you. And getting to the next upgrade is super powerful, and earning favor in a run is super powerful because you're still buying blessings. So for me, it's almost an always go-to if you're newer to just run Pilfer. Just get that extra gold. Get your money. Upgrade all the things. Buy all the blessings. And you're good to go. When you get to the point where gold isn't what gives you power anymore, then Pain tends to be the way to go. Unless you're specifically doing a farming run. I knew it. Hold on, I gotta sneeze. Or maybe not. False alarm. Pain tends to be the way to go once you no longer really need gold. Pain's going to give you, a bonus. Once you can already hit this point where you're like, circle with a line through it, there's no more upgrades left for your champion. Pain. I specifically use Traitor in situations where I'm dealing with bosses. If I know I have enough gold and I know I have enough power to push through something, but I just want to push through quicker, and I want to deal with bosses that are armored or hits based, specifically hits based, but also armored, I go Trader, because the interesting thing is when you get a bunch of enemies all clumped up or coming out around a boss, and then you're attacking one of the enemies, the explosion hits the boss too, and if they all move up, if it's a walking boss and they sit on your formation, when you hit one and they all explode and they all do this Trader damage, it just destroys all of these hits on a boss, because all of those Trader procs count as an attack against the armored boss. So you go whatever you're trying to do here. I know I've got more than enough damage. I'm just going to go Trader because we've got hits based and armored stuff. Because I'm just looking for fun, quicker progress, right? Ooh, there was a red gem. And that's pretty much it. I know there's 2 more abilities here, but folks, I want to be honest with you. We covered Krull's kit, Plagues and Virulent Strain. The rest of this is just, it's okay. It exists. Archon's Army. Krull increases the damage of all evil champions in the formation, reduced for each good champion in the formation. I mean, if you're building an all evil party, if you can do that and it's viable for you, then there's a bonus for you. But that doesn't mean you build around that feature. It's not a big enough buff. The Master's Call. Krull increases the damage of Archon, reduced by how many slots away from Krull he is. Again, if you happen to be using Archon, keep this in mind. If you don't, and it's not something to build around. Again, Krull is all about his plagues. All about plagues, and Virulent Strain is the key to those plagues. So, in fact, if you see, there's a Dark Order Synergy, increases the effect of Archon's Army by 100% for each Dark Order member adjacent to Krull. Again, not something to build around. There's only 2 other Dark Order people. It's just a bonus if you happen to be using them. But Virulent Strain is so important that these are the feats you usually want. One of them you get easily. The other, you only get out of gold chests. So this is the one people usually hunt for. But when you get both the Virulent Strain feats, that's what you want to run. Because again, getting 30 or 40 stacks of Pilfer on something that's the thing you're hunting. You want those huge amounts of stacks. And this is what's going to help you get there. You'll rarely ever see them, if ever, if you don't have both of these up. Otherwise, he does have a lot of other feats. He actually has a lot. I mean, look at all these feats, folks. This is crazy. For someone who only ever really needs these 2, he's sure got a bunch. I don't understand. He's got all champs damage. You can affect increase pain. You can increase 25% gold fine. You can increase Pilfer by 40, pain by 40. There's a Master's Call one, but really, Virulent Strain's all you want. Unless, if you're newer and you don't have, usually you would run this and pain to try to push as far as possible, or Pilfer to try to gain as much gold as possible, your choice. But you get pain free, so when you start, running like Boils and Venomous Touch is a good way to go. And then if you can get, one of the 40% ones, you do that because this 40% on Pilfer is better than lucky 25%. So, yeah. Pretty straightforward. His items increase all champs damage, and then you get 1 for each. You get 1 for each important plague. You get Pilfer and you get pain. And then you get Archon's Army. And then you have ultimates. Yeah. All right. And we are on to Spurt. Save the best for last. Oh, did we didn't throw out the smoke screen, did we? Hold on. It's not like there's a lot to see. It's a smoke screen, folks. It's a smoke screen, but we'll do it. I forgot. Boom. See? Giant smoke screen. You can tell when it's active. It's the whole screen. All right. Oh. Sniffles this morning, folks. All right, this is what I get for going outside. Yeah, that's what I get for going outside. Spurt. That's it, folks. That's a tweet. Spurt. Spurt is a Kobold Inventor Rogue, made famous by Chris Perkins on Critical Role. His base attack is Wasp Nest. Spurt tosses a Wasp Nest at a random enemy, dealing damage. Because that's what he does. His ultimate is called You Dead! He tosses a Wasp Nest at a stalking giant, and then is immediately killed. If you'll notice, Spurt's stats are not great, folks. He's a Kobold. Lots of single-digit stats over here on Spurt. I'm surprised that his Constitution is as good as it is, frankly. But yeah. We'll just go over his items. All champs damage. He gets a couple ability buffs, and we'll go over these. And then he gets ultimates. This is the big thing, though. His slot 6, instead of reducing his ultimate cooldown, note the text, increases the cooldown. Because we'll go do his ultimate. Like I said, he dies. Well, there's a feature that when he dies, he actually, for the longer he's dead, the more of a buff he provides to his party. So, Spurt's best contribution to your party is remaining dead as long as possible. You always want him dead. So Spurt is someone who definitely wants a familiar on his ultimate. And, I'll show this off in a minute because it's kind of one of the best ultimates in the game, frankly. It really is. All right. Upgrades. The Centipede Net. This increases the damage of adjacent champions, so you want him next to your DPS. We don't have him next to the DPS in this formation just because I was spreading everybody out so you could see them as we're talking about them. Straightforward, though. I mean, this is easy to understand placement. Adjacent. Right? Waspiration. This ability works and functions, but currently does not have the tracking in-game visually showing. That part is broken because it's going to do some things and provide some bonuses here. Whenever Spurt attacks an enemy, wasps swarm that enemy until they're killed. When 4 wasped enemies are killed, Spurt invents a random effect for 60 seconds. Each effect can stack up to 5 times. At one point in time, it used to show you what those effects were. It doesn't anymore. I have it in my guide on the subreddit. It's the Year 2 Champion Guide for Spurt the Kobold Inventor. Here are the 3 effects. 1. Stingy. Champions that attack with melee attacks deal 50% additional damage per stingy stack, and that stacks multiplicatively. And remember, that can stack up to 5 times. Skunky. Enemies that approach the party take 50% more damage per skunky stack. Stacks multiplicatively. Grubby. Reduces the base attack cooldowns of all champions by 0.2 seconds per stack. Stacks additively. So that can be up to a second reduction if you get 5 stacks, folks. Now, again, this is whenever he attacks an enemy. But when he's dead, champions adjacent to him also generate wasp swarms. So it's super nice. I mean, you got to have him adjacent to your DPS anyway. So your DPS can be picking up these effects, but also can other members of your party can too. Again, there's no tracking for this in the game. This is why I was saying the other champions, it's nice that they have this tracking. For whatever reason, this is bugged and it's not showing up. It isn't showing up here. It isn't showing up in formation buffs. So hopefully at some point that will be fixed. But just know that is an extra bonus that is happening that is super nice, and that's why you want to have him adjacent. Obviously, you want to have him adjacent to your DPS, but having him adjacent to other people is super nice as well, because it builds up those stacks. Heroic Sacrifice. This is the ultimate. Yeah, we'll come back to that. But here's the part where it says, while he's a spirit, he increases the party's damage and buffs his other formation abilities in unique ways. That's key. Pack Tactics. Patactics. Increases damage of all champions by 200% for every kobold in the formation, including Spurt. To be real clear here, folks, Human may be 3 kobolds in a trench coat. They only count as 1 kobold for Pack Tactics. That's it. 1 credit per champion. It doesn't matter that there's 3 kobolds in that trench coat. I don't know what I'm saying. It's definitely a human. It's definitely a human. in that trench coat, but it counts for 1 kobold. Because if it counted for more, that would break the game. It would be broken. Centipult, for spec choices. If for whatever reason you can't put Spurt right next to your DPS, but you can put them up 2 spots away, you would choose Centipult. But otherwise, you want Kobold family. It's just you want the Petactics. You want the Petactics. Let's cap them out here real quick. There we go. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, okay. So let's kill him. Let's kill him. Here we go, folks. One of the best ultimates in the game. I'm going to turn off auto progress so we don't miss it. You dead! Thunk. Oh, poor Spurt. Spurt is now a ghost, folks. Spurt is now a ghost. Again, in his spirit form, he is buffing your party, and this is why it's important that you want to get a nice big slot 6 item. You want to make this as long as possible. Like my cooldown is currently 5 minutes, so I get 5 minutes of buffs. And 5 minutes, it's going to ramp up, right? It's going to ramp up. So now when we come back over here, you'll see there is now an addendum underneath. This is now because he's dead. Centipede Net buffed adjacent champions by a large amount, but this is buffed by initial 10% for every 10 seconds while Spurt is a spirit, up to 30 stacks. So 300 seconds, that's 5 minutes. That's why I like that mine's over 5 minutes, because I get that max. Waspiration, again, now adds champions adjacent to Spurt also generate wasp swarms. So this is where you get lots of stacks of Waspiration. And then Petactics buffed by an extra 100% for every other kobold in the formation. So, again, everything gets better when he's dead. Which is a sad thing to say, but that's just the reality of the situation. Feat-wise, he has the increase as a support. He's got his increase all champs damage. He buffs these certain abilities, so Centipede Net, Petactics. And then he's got Constitution by 1. Is that... Hold on. No, doesn't get him there. Yeah, I don't know. That probably qualifies him for something. Off the top of my head, I don't know what it is. I don't know what... Oh, that's the wrong kobold. There we go. Yeah, I don't know. I usually go Pack Tactics and Centipede Net. I just go with my bigger buffs. Because, yeah, why not? Because Spurt's cool. Now we're going to move Spurt up here. Like that. So we can generate as many wasp swarms as possible. And I will put a familiar here. And we will let this just do its thing, folks. That's the tutorial part of the show. We're going to come back with Q&A. It looks like we already got about 15 or so questions. So if I wasn't answering the questions, now you know why, because we do the tutorial part in the first half. Second half will be Q&A. I'll target the specific things first as best I can. Remember, I am a player, not a developer. And I'm not customer support either. So I'll do what I can. And we'll be right back. We're going to take a quick musical interlude of the champions that we have out here today. 2 of them currently have songs. So we are going to listen to the Black Viper song first. It's called The Viper's Fangs. It is on the Bardic Inspiration soundtrack. This thing right here, that's in your game through the jukebox. You can also buy Bardic Inspiration through Steam. But shocker, it's now on the Epic Games Store as well. You can buy Bardic Inspiration through Epic Games. So buy it wherever you play your games. You can buy the soundtrack and then listen to it anywhere, because it gives you these cool high-quality audio files you take with you. And not just, the generic in-game files that you have to have your game open and listen to. So we're going to listen to the Viper's Fangs, and then the second song, we'll listen to Spurt. Spurt has this song. We'll do that when we close out. But I'm going to go to a quick break, and we'll be back once the music's done.
Overcast underneath the moon. A shadow creeps at the edge of sight. Pockets pick, being noble all night. All gold shine, same under the lamplight. Lady charm, lady skill, picking your pockets, going in for the kill. Lady style, lady class, dancing a ball, kicking your ass. Feel the bitter bite of the viper's fangs tonight. Did you hear about that theft so rash? So bold and so brazen, done with such panache. I heard it was Black Viper on a crime spree. I'm a little parched, please pass the tea. A lady charm, a lady skill, picking your pockets, going in for the kill. Lady style, a lady class, dancing a ball, and kicking your ass. Feel the bitter bite of the vampire's fangs tonight. First steps from a legend, dark devious stain. Took the mask, but built up my own fame. Still from those I blame, tore down my family's name. All I wanna do is play my game. Lady charm, lady skill, kicking your pockets, going in for the kill. Lady style, lady class, dancing a ball and kicking your ass. Feel the bitter bite of the viper's fangs tonight.
And just like that, we're back. Hey, everybody. So, I'm just going to let these idle... this is not... Disclaimer. Oh, Spurt's dying. Thunk. Disclaimer, this is not a optimal formation of any shape or kind. We're just showing off the 5 champions that come in the Epic Champions of Renown pack that will be coming to the Epic Game Store next week. And... This is one of the newest levels in Untitled Champion. This just arrived last Wednesday. This is Limu Gugon. I always want to say Gugon, but it's Gugun Rises. Kuatoans and their names. Just call it the Demogorgon. Why can't you just call it the Demogorgon? This is the Demogorgon level. Demogorgon arrived to Untitled Champions. Not the Stranger Things Demogorgon, but, you know, the D&D Demogorgon. So we're going to dive into the Q&A. The wonderful Jay on the CNA Games account has been pulling questions this entire time, so I'm going to go through and review the ones that are related to our topic today first, and then I'll go back through and do all the rest. So, you know, we still do have like 52 minutes. I should be able to answer a decent number of questions, so if you got them, flaunt them. Sangira Tolam, will the Epic Champion promo be in a code form? I don't believe so. I think you just log in and get it. Do you actually have to play on the platform to receive the boxes from? I mean, you have to You have to be on the Epic Game Store. You have to install the game. You have to play the game and log in and get it. And it goes to your account on the Epic Game Store. Content is not shared among platforms. With Idle Champions, that is not something that they have the ability to do with their contracts with the different platforms. The different platforms are like, no. You can't do that. So even if they wanted to, that's not something they're allowed to do. Will the Champion promo be available for PS4? Again, this is for the Epic Game Store. If you play on the Epic Game Store, this is where it is. If they decide to do a little something for other platforms, then then they will. But that's, I've been here it's more than 3.5 years now. A little over 3.5 years playing this game. C&E gives out a lot of stuff, folks. A lot of stuff. So, if this one time it's not for you, I understand the FOMO, but, you do you. This one kind of affects... this is kind of about Nova. Greats are, do slows only slow movement, or does it affect attack speed too? That usually is part of the description. Grama slows, specifically calls out that it slows enemies and it slows their attack speed. So if you just see it slows enemies, it's talking about their movement. Lumon counts as one male even though there are actually two males and a female. Yes, that's a statement, not a question, though. These are all statements. If I'm already an Epic Games user, will I also get these champions? If you log in and play on like the 29th or 30th or whatever window, like there's a window of time where if you log in and play, then you get it. If you don't, I mean, we've seen other kind of things like every quarter, every 3 months or so, they do some kind of meta event, is what I like to call them, because they're not a regular event like the game does. They're a meta event in the sense that it's something that exists outside of the game, but in the game. So like we just had a spring extravaganza where for a week you logged in and collected stuff and got bonuses, and it's probably going to be something like that because I think it's available for a week. So you log in and you get something. So just make sure you log in and you collect your stuff if you play on Epic Games. So when you're running Black Viper, if you use a respec potion, does it change how much she's collected gems-wise for that run? No. I could see this being abusable. Not really. I mean, so if you push all the way to as far as you can go, and you've collected a bunch of gems, and now you just want to get a little bonus damage, so you switch to her left spec. Sure, okay. I mean, what you're getting is you get a sneak attack on 2 attacks, and you get a half a second faster attack speed, but attack speed isn't the end all be all in this game, so that just helps you get a little more wave clear. And once again, her smoke screen, her ultimate, makes all of her attacks sneak attacks, so I don't know that that's specifically abusable. What's the best upgrade path for Kroll? Secretzi, I think I kind of talked about that. It just depends on where you are in the game and what you're trying to do. Like, I kind of broke it into, are you an early game player that still needs gold, then go Pilfer. If you're a late game player, go Pain. And if you just want to have fun with Trader, go Trader. But there are also times where even as a late game player, you might run Pilfer because you've got enough damage to get to your wall and you just want to gold farm and you just want to maximize your gold farm, you could run Pilfer then too. Or if you're a newer player and you just want to complete a variant and you don't need more gold, you could run Pain. So there's, informed decisions. Make informed decisions. Does Spurt's death, ex Visa, does Spurt's death trigger Strix's buff? It used to, and I don't know if it does anymore. So there are certain things that happen in the game based off dying. Like there are certain champions that have abilities that trigger if someone in the formation dies. And in this case, it's Haunted for Strix. Currently, we have 0 stacks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave Strix in. And he's going to die again in a minute, and we'll double check. Because it used to, and I don't know if it does anymore. I know that... I know it doesn't trigger like Baloth's Jin, because he's not actually dead. Spoiler. He's not actually dead. If I were to put him up here as a tank, he would get attacked and lose health and die. All right, this is just spirit form. So think of it as when he's in his spirit form. So whether or not spirit form triggers a death counter or not, we'll see. We'll see for Strix specifically. But I don't. It doesn't work for. To my understanding, it doesn't work for Baloth. But you know what? We can bring Baloth in and check too. I don't think it does though. Hey, I can't help it. I got to level them all the way up to soft cap, folks. It's a compulsion. I see that extra power there. I got to get it. Why are C&E against an all Kobold meta and Dragonbait? Kobolds are OP, folks. Kobolds are OP. No, so here's the thing. Why doesn't... I'll answer this general question. I mean, we're talking about Kobolds, and I get it. Oh, there's the Demogorgon. Why doesn't C&E add more X characters? And you can take this response to everything. It could be, hey, why don't they add... Oh, there he goes. Oh, he did get a Jin stack. Look at that. So I was wrong, folks. I was wrong. Oh, I've got Haunted stacks too. Weird. So yes? How did I get 5? Oh, everybody died. That's why. Yeah. So it looks like it still works for Haunted. I didn't think it did. Wow, and he gets the Jin stack? That's great. Okay. Well, there you go. There you go. Now you know, folks. Now you know. Oh, real quick, here's why Krull's ult is so nice. Let's see if I can... Notice we started with a quarter of his hits gone. If you can get this to fall in the Demogorgon, here's those pools. They just decimate. They just decimate hit-based things and armored things, too, if you've got enough damage to take off the armor. But that's why Krull's ult is amazing. So, why don't C&E add more... I'm wondering, Breft, I'm changing your question. Why don't C&E add more X champions? This can be a certain class. This can be a certain alignment. That's where we see it more often. Or this can be a certain race. For the most part, C&E adds champions, as you can see. We've got one coming up next week, Shaka, Sharafka from Rivals of Waterdeep. They add champions that are from streams more than anything else, right? Like these are popular streams that people are playing, and you know, and people like to play those. That brings neat, unique champions into the game, but it also brings new players into the game, and games die if they don't have new players. And sometimes they bring them in from video games, or they'll bring them in from books, or they'll bring in a lore champion from like a campaign book, or they very rarely they create originals, which is how we got Human. But more often than not, when they're looking at these streamers just aren't playing those characters, right? Like we have Deacon. Deacon's a classic character from video games. We have Spurt. Spurt was literally only in a stream game for 20 minutes. 20 minutes, folks. If that. We also have Ishii. Ishii was a streamed game from... that was a while back. I can't remember the name of the show now. That was like a long time ago. It's no longer an active show. But so with the kobolds that we have, and then Human they had to build. This is based 3 kobolds on a trench coat is based off. It isn't based off an actual character, but it's based off a concept and like NPC that's in the Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden book. So if streamers are playing them, then it's probably going to show up, right? Then there's a chance that it will show up eventually. But if they're not, then it's not. And if there aren't any major books, and like right now there aren't a lot of new 5e D&D books in terms of like novels. Like we got the Brimstone Angels, but those were, those were from a while back. But luckily we got those in. And then they don't put a lot of like campaign characters in. It just depends. So if they're out there, they like to put them in, and if they're not, they try to do it with a C&E original. But they've got a pretty full schedule, so ultimately it's not like they're trying. It's not like they hate the idea of having more kobolds or having more evil characters. It's just that if players aren't playing them, it's hard to then pull them in. There is a kobold on a stream out right now that I'm a huge fan of, and that's Snacks from the Gax Pack. Snacks Pack. Snacks is played by Vivid Vidka, who also is canonically the Black Viper. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Snacks. If we could get Snacks, the Kobold Barbarian, in the game, that'd be amazing. But that's like a brand new stream. Who knows? I mean, it takes a while sometimes. When they're like, oh yeah, I like these champions on this stream. Let's get them in. Like we only just received a couple of the Heroes of the Plains. We have a Lindra and Orkira that arrived recently, but that show's been going on in one form or another with that group for like 3 years. Rivals of Waterdeep has been out for a while, and I know this has been a long time coming, and now we got one of the Rivals of Waterdeep arriving, right? So, it'll happen. It'll happen. Hopefully. Sometime. Do you have to spend real money to get the champions you're showing off? No, like I said, this is the Epic Champions of Renown that's coming free. Excuse me. These 5 champions will be coming free to players play on the Epic Games Store. But in general, there aren't any champions that you have to pay to get in this game. Champions are delivered. The delivery systems in the game are events, which happen every 3 weeks, like clockwork, well, mostly. But, even clocks are off every now and then. Every 3 weeks, or via time gates, which also happen every 3 weeks, or whenever you have enough time gate pieces to buy. That is how you get new champions, or you unlock them by playing through the campaign and unlocking evergreen champions, or you can get one free by signing up for the newsletter. You get Hitch. Hitch is pretty great. So all the content in the game, all the champions, these are all accessible at no cost to you. You can get them, and sometimes they give them away. Yeah, like they're doing now. But they've given them away. They've given champions away across all platforms recently. So yeah, it happens. How do we get Pirate Krull? That's part of the stuff going on next week too. So I don't know exactly. I think that may be just a login reward. But the Pirate Krull, hold on, I don't have my own image of this, but I can get an image of this real quick. Pirate Krull is coming with the streaming stuff next week. I swear I saw one of these. Yeah, there it is. All right, hold on. Let me switch cameras here, folks. It's going to look real weird for a second. Bam. There it is. There he is. Community celebration. April 29th and 30th. 2 days of streaming celebrating Idle Champions. Fantastic shows, amazing giveaways, and an unlock of Pirate Chef Krull. So there you go. Oh, and there's the schedule. Thursday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. I'll stream at some point in here. We'll have a GT2E somewhere in here. And then Friday, April 30th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I'll be streaming on Friday, too. Yay! You get lots of me next week, whether you like it or not. So there's the Pirate Krull and that. So, yeah, I mean, we're getting... Even on other platforms, we're getting stuff. It's just maybe not the same stuff. But if you don't have Krull and you get Pirate Krull, usually when you're given a skin as a reward, it unlocks the champion, too. So, there you go. Jay's all not too excited for the 7 a.m. stream. Yeah, neither am I. That's why I'm not doing it. Womp, womp, womp. Let's see. If I play on Steam but have an Epic account, can I still get this? Yeah, but you'll get it on your Epic account, right? Like I have, this is my Steam account. I also have a couple accounts on WebGL, and I haven't started an Epic account, but now I feel like I have to. But yeah, I mean, if you log in, but it's going to be on that account. All the accounts are separate. Someone's saying the haunted buff doesn't affect the DPS in the top left window. Why is that? First of all, if you use this stuff up here to determine your DPS, stop. Collaborate and listen. No, stop. Just stop. This is all not great, okay? This is where you look. This is where you look. You look at your Bud. Base ultimate damage. I did a whole guide on this. Go read it and or watch it. This stuff is a lie. Base DPS specifically is a lie, and that's why you'll see that I have average DPS, just because I don't want to look at base DPS. But even average DPS is a bit of a lie, because it's a running average that you can see. It tells you. I mean, this even tells you it's a lie. A static version of your DPS. It is not dynamically affected by timed or random events stacking, which is why it won't show modifiers from Baloth, or enemy debuffs. Yeah. It's just it's a guesstimation, which is, it's fine when you're brand new, when you're just using the core champions. For the most part, it's going to give you a pretty accurate read. But once you start adding in more complex champions, it just lies to you. It's a straight up lie. And this is a running average, which is a little more accurate, but because it still holds onto high damage spikes, you can end up in situations where it's still showing that someone's super high because they spiked off something, and the average just still hasn't worn off yet. So Bud, folks. Bud's going to give you a more real-time, yes, you could still spike here, and yes, that it may still be problematic. But Bud affects the important things. Bud affects your ultimates. Bud affects your fire breath damage. Bud affects certain abilities. It's going to be where you want to look for your damage. So this is what you want to do. So when you see a stack show up of like the Jinn, what you have to do is you have to know what your Bud was before, and then you have to pay attention to what it's trending as afterwards, to see if it was affected or not. Pirate Chef, I'm not dying to eat his mess. Yeah, no. No. I mean, I would have to be press ganged onto that ship, and then I'd willingly die of scurvy, because I'm not eating anything Krull cooks. Not anything. Okay, general questions. If you have general questions, folks, we still have half an hour. We can talk about generalized stuff. Hey, do you get the time gate chests at area 100, 200, etc. only once or every run? It's every unique area. So when you do a time gate, like if you're doing the time gate this weekend, the first time you pass 100, the first time you pass 200, and that's total. That's for that time gate. It tracks it for that time gate. So it is not, if you want to get chests at 100, 200, 300 again, you close that time gate and you open a new time gate. So it tracks it inside that time gate. Chekhov's Cannon. As a new player, when should I complete an adventure early to take the favor and start over versus just grind through when I'm getting stuck? Rarely do you ever grind through when you're getting stuck. I mean, it is an exception. That is a rare exception. And in those cases, it's usually if you're like 5 levels away or something, right? Or 1 level away. 5 might even be too much because of the way this game works. This game is built around pushing as far as you can, hitting a wall, adjusting your formation at the wall, like seeing if there's a better formation for you to have, or if you've hit a favor curve with champions. Maybe there's a better formation for you to build that will let you push a little further. Ultimately, if you end up and you're at that wall, you don't really want to be at a wall more than an hour in most cases, unless you're just going AFK, which is fine. But usually you'll know in an hour or less if you're at your wall and you're not moving forward or not. And then you reset, and then you do it again. That's the core loop of this game. Push as far as you can, grab that favor, reset, run a new adventure, because now you're going to go further and you're going to level up faster because you got more favor, or you spent that favor on blessings that lets you push further also. That's just kind of what this game is about. The exception to that rule is in an event. Events you want to, the only time you want to, the only place you grind favor is in the unlock adventures for each champion or in free plays. You don't want to attempt a variant in an event because events cost tokens, like they're gated by an economy, and you don't want to waste those tokens. But outside of an event, the core premise of the game is just attempt it, see how far you can push, and then if you fail, start over. My general recommendations for new players is to just do the storyline adventures of a campaign first, play through the entire storyline, and ignore the little variants that show up after you complete an adventure the first time. Because variants are much harder, they're much more restrictive in terms of how you can complete them, how many slots you have, what kind of power you bring in. And you want to go into them with as much power as possible, and the only way you do that, and the main way you do that, is with favor when you're new. So play through the storyline of the campaign that you're in, then go back and do variants. Unless, at certain times they're going to be like, to progress you have to do a certain number of variants, but then pick and choose very carefully which variants you do, because the variants are rough, folks. The very first variant in this game is named appropriately. Are you chicken? They're baiting you, folks. They're double dog daring you. Are you chicken? Come do this. You lose 4 slots in your formation. That's a lot. As a new player, that's a lot. If you start this game, you don't really have a lot of knowledge about how the game works, and you do the Cursed Farmer, and then you're like, all right, I'm going to do Are You Chicken next, because it dropped down. I've heard of people spending 3 or 4 days idling in this, and I'm like, what? No, stop, get out. Just don't ignore it. Move on. You want to ignore all these when you start off, and just do these, and play through the storyline, and read the restrictions, folks, because the restrictions are big. Is there any reason to run the free play and time gates after you've done the 3 missions? Maybe. Maybe you didn't push deep in the first ones, and there's a little meat left on the bone. You could grab 1 more silver chest, or maybe even 2, with 1 more free play. Sure, but you don't necessarily just want to spend all your time in a free play just trying to get 1 more chest. You don't want to do 10 runs just trying to get enough to get 1 more chest. Nah, that's not worth it. So you got to make an informed decision about your power and your progress. Secreti, how do you get so many purple items? I've been playing for 3.5 years. I've farmed all the things. That helps. Outside of that, it's just effective spending both of in-game currency and real-world currency, right? I support the game that I play. I'm fortunate enough to be in a position to do that. Not everybody is. When I first started, I wasn't, and I played totally free to play. But I still, you can still gain progress. So when you're new starting off, how do you get purple items? You open lots of gold chests, right? So, regular gold chests are going to give you a chance to drop, at worst, once out of every 10 chests, you're going to get an epic. But it could be better than that. So farming lots of, spending those gems on your gold chests, after you've already got, all your items to green or so, then just buying lots and lots of gold chests with all your gems. To this day, I still just only spend my gems on gold chests primarily. That's going to give you that chance at epic items. As you progress further, you unlock things like patrons, which patrons have their own gold chests that they sell you. Those can give you epic items for event champions and time gate champions, as well as any other core champions. And then running time gates. Running time gates gets you 3 gold chests for a champion. That's, there's 3 chances at an epic. And then in an event, you're running adventures. The 3 variants that come in an event, each one gives you a gold chest, kind of like with a time gate. But then when you run free plays in an event, every time you run a free play to 50 and complete it, there's a random chance to get either a silver or gold chest. So that's another way to get epics. Outside of the in-game economy, obviously there are promotions like this weekend. This is with the weekend Nether East chest. This is the weekend pack. So, if you buy like a 3-pack of chests, you're guaranteed a golden epic, which is not just an epic, it's golden, which means it's gilded, which means it's 100% multiplier on top of whatever power that the item provides, whereas shiny is 50%. So, this is another way. Obviously, I have a lot of either gold or shiny things. This is how you end up with those. If you buy 7, you get a gold and a shiny for one of the champions that's in this chest. And this is Minsk, Calliope, Alindra, Avern, and Birdsong. Right, so like my Calliope and Minsk are fully epicked and fully gilded. So this pack would guarantee I'd be getting a golden epic for Alindra, but I'd also be getting a shiny for either Alindra, Avern, or Birdsong. If I come out here, my Birdsong is missing 3. My Avern is missing 3. So, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good thing. And my Alindra is missing 4. And this would actually drop that golden right here, which would refund me a potion of polish that could then drop a shiny anywhere, right? So, yeah, I mean, why spending lots of collecting in-game and running targeted time gates, and then wise spending of cash just on things that I want. Is it worth it to keep doing a time gate? I think we just kind of covered that. What makes doing time gates good? You're unlocking champions to use for your formations, right? So the game is a formation strategy management game. I mean, it has idle aspects to it, but at the end of the day, it's all about managing a formation, and kind of unlocking that puzzle of what's going to do the most damage, and having lots of different potential pieces to fit into your formation is what lets you complete all the stuff, right? Like these are all these different champions, all these different slots. When you go to do variants that have restrictions, having a deep bench helps you progress. And then once you have all the champions, like I said, you can get lots of gear for them by doing time gates. The Maestra Favor is nice. It's an extra bonus conversion, like with an event. It multiplies, like there's a percentage based off how much you get that multiplies against the main campaign of your choice and then gives you a boost. I would demonstrate that, but I already converted mine from yesterday's time gate because I already ended my time gate. Once you end the time gate, it automatically makes you convert, but it's a lower multiplier than an event, so it's not as, I don't worry about that as much as I worry about events. Can you get chests of chosen champions in free plays in a time gate? No, like I said, well, yes and no, right? Like it's in a free play, in a time gate, it's all about completing unique 100 levels to get a silver chest. There isn't, time gates and events are different. They're different things. So yeah, I think what you're thinking is, can you get the same things you get from an event? And no, free plays are free, like completely free in a time gate. You can run as many as you want. They're not going to give you infinite numbers of chests. What champion is going to the epic platform? It's these 5. I mean, all the champions are in the game. It's just that these 5 are the epic champions of Renown. That's going to be a pack they're giving away next week on the Epic Games platform. FPS Korean, have you completed the game? I don't know how to answer that question. Content is always being added to the game. This last Wednesday, they just added more content. I've done this new content, but they also recently added a new patron, which means, as you can see, patron variants completed. I've only completed 6% of them. I mean, they're always moving the goalposts for what you say completed is. I don't know if I've ever had 100% of everything done, because there are some Strahd things that aren't doable currently, or they weren't before Zerial. They might be now. But I have all of the champions in the game. I've completed all of the basic adventures and all of the basic variants. I've completed I've completed all of the... Oh no, there's new patron variants for me to do for Merton Vajra, but they were at 100% recently. So yeah, I mean, yes and no. I don't know how you want me to answer that. Jamila's Path Indomitable Might. Which champions would you use to boost her? I don't know. Doesn't it say? One of the protection of a temporary hit point shield. Well, Calliope provides those. So with your base champions, which if you're still using Jamila, you're probably still using your core champions, Calliope. Korth kind of offers one, but it's really small. And if I remember correctly, this is based on Berserker Confidence is based off like a size of a shield. So I don't know that I would use Korth. But Shaka, the new champion coming Wednesday with the running event. If we come over here, hold on. Collapse all, go down the running. Which also is delivering Spurt and Cridle. So if you don't have Spurt, and you're not on the Epic Games Store, you'll get Spurt soon, and you'll get Cridle. He's a champion that exists. Shaka will be arriving. Shaka provides temp HP shields to the party as well. So I don't know how strong that is going to be compared to Calliope because they're not in the game yet. So I don't know their upgrade and buff numbers yet. So, what level have you reached on your speed core? I think I'm level 7. I don't know. I don't pay attention. I just let it do its thing. Usually. Yeah, level 7. 5, 10, and 15 are the only levels that really matter for the speed core. Is it possible to lock yourself to a certain map when closing down the game? I don't know what that means. No. I mean, when you turn the game off, it's going to stay wherever you turned it off, and your offline progress is going to happen in that adventure you're in. But then when you come back, you complete it, and you go do whatever else you want. If you're running into an issue where it's not letting you access other campaigns, and you've met the requirements to access those other campaigns, keep that in mind. Then submit a ticket. Like, that would be a bug. I don't know what this is. Oh, there's no... Okay. What is a good way to get gems other than the obvious? I mean, I don't know what the obvious is. Like, are you talking about just completing adventures and variants? Like, that's the big way. The other way is to farm them. There's a whole thing called gem farming that usually functions in Mad Wizard. For most players, functions in Mad Wizard, where you're just running Mad Wizard over and over and over again with speed champions. That's how you get farms. I mean, you get gems either by beating bosses or by completing adventures and variants. Like basic adventures and variants give you gem rewards. And bosses drop gems in their sacks. So once you've done all the basic adventures and variants, the only way you can get more gems is to kill bosses quickly, and thus you sit in one level and you with a automation and hopefully a speed core, but not necessarily. But with automation going, and just run that level over and over again. Newbie here, why do you reset? Because resetting is that's what grants you power in this game. So whenever I go to complete an adventure, it's granting me favor here. Based on the gold you've collected this adventure, you get this kind of favor bonus, and it adds to whatever you have before. Favor acts as a multiplier on your gold find on subsequent runs in that campaign. So that's why I have an E62% gold find, is because I have E60 favor in this campaign. So it's multiplying the gold that I'm going to earn. That's why I leveled up so quickly. That gives me power, but then also that favor gets spent on blessings. So if you're a brand new player, go check out. I've got a guide for that. There's both a written guide and a video guide for divine favor and blessings. Yeah. Well, the written guide I think is for blessings, but there's a video guide for divine favor and blessings. Is there a method to the silver gold chest drops? I'm not sure what you mean, a method. By method, regular silver and gold chests have a chance to drop off bosses when you kill them. There's a low percent chance for a decent percent chance for a silver base. These are all looted off of bosses. There's a decent percent chance for a silver to drop, and then there's a low percent chance that the chest that drops is a gold. So there's a percent chance for a chest to drop, but the majority of them are going to be silvers and the rest are golds. But usually this is why I only buy gold chests, is because I can farm lots of bosses and get lots of silver chests. And then I bought all of these, except for maybe those 26. I bought like 300 of these, so I've looted like 26, compared to looting 1,200, right? So gems you buy chests with gems. Is it worth spending coin on click damage? Only early on. The way this works is the level over here, like this is click damage level 1. But if I were to spend lots on it, it goes up as a level. The key here to remember is that this level and the area you're on are things you want to compare. So if I was only at level 31 and I could put a point in this, and I knew that I could only put 1 point in this, but I'm at area 229, it's not worth it because this click damage isn't going to do anything at this area. However, how far can we get up here? Okay, now I'm at 231, right? So if I'm at 231, then if I put a familiar out here, you're going to see that the familiar, well, it's not going to, damn it, game, why do you do this to me? If this was a regular enemy, it would be destroying it instantly. Basically, insta-death via clickies happens if you, in general, if you are at or above with your click damage, the level, the area that you're on. So we should instantly start, you should see it killing everything on the screen here. Yeah, see, they load out, the champions can't even really, it looks like they're getting their attacks off, but they're not. They're all dying to, it's all dying to click damage. So as long as you can keep leveling, as long as you can keep, keeping your click damage level above the area level, you can still, it's still valid to put points in click damage. Keep in mind, as you saw, click damage doesn't really work against, it only clicks once every 6 seconds or so. Against a hit-based or armored-based thing, so you still have to have champions to kill those, and they still have to have damage. But you can kill just fine with click damage as long as this level is greater than this area. Once it's equal to this, you can start. You can stop. It's going to fall off real quick after that. Can you get a golden shiny without paying? So there's no golden shiny. There's golden and there's shiny. Shinies have a 1 in 1,000 chance to drop out of any chest, any chest that, any chest that drops gear. So that includes silvers, regular silvers and golds, named silvers and golds, group named silvers and golds, patron silvers and gold, or patron golds, and electrums. Nothing. It won't come out of supply chests or Modron chests. Goldens, though, are primarily store features. However, there are some in the patron shop that you can buy with patron currency, but it's just 1 per patron. So if we look down here, the Watchful Order Staff, these are for Evergreen champions. So Alcoria has one here, and 3 more Evergreens have them out of patron shops. But primarily Goldens are rewards for shop purchases. You can also get shinies for, like I showed earlier, you can get shinies for things, for buying things. Usually for every $10 that you spend here, you'll get something that's shiny. So since this doesn't have any chests, they give you a potion of polish, which creates shinies. Whereas over here, it's a guaranteed shiny specifically for Keelik. Right? That's what this means. This is what it looks like. The back of a shiny card looks like. Let's see. If I were to spend money on the game, what packs do you think should be prioritized? Usually the Founders packs are the good way, or the best deals. I can't show you the Founders Pack Year 3. It's got Jarlaxle and it's got a bunch of stuff in it. There's also a Modron one once you unlock Modrons. 50 Modron chests, a familiar. This potion that buffs the bonuses, you can use that later. You don't want to use it right away. And a bunch of component pieces. But usually there's also, like, there's a big pack that's going to have Jarlaxle and bunches of stuff. Like, it has Jarlaxle skin, a familiar, bunches of chests, bunches of shinies, and a potion for... Oh, do I have that potion? Yes, this potion. Potion of the Gem Hunter. So it increases gem drops from bosses by 50%. So it's going to feed you. It gives you lots of gems, and it also then feeds you lots of gems. Outside of that, I tend to recommend well, anytime they have something up for charity, I always recommend those. But familiars. I like the quality of life that familiars provide. Having them do things for me makes it real easy to be hands off when I play this game instead of having to always, keep an eye on it. Um, and that's what I'm looking for in this game. So it just kind of, but it depends on what your priorities are. Right? How do you think about gem farming with Briv? I'm not sure what that question is. I mean, Briv is a speed champion. There are people who buff his items to outrageous level to make him jump lots and lots and lots of levels, and then he is another black hole like Human, so you're jumping constantly, and thus progressing super fast through and gaining lots of gems. But I mean, I guess it depends on what you're doing. Like, I feel like people that do that, I mean, when you get to a certain point, sure, you're generating more gems than you can really spend, and you buy all the things. But until you get there, it's just a black hole that's soaking up all your gems. So it's kind of up to you. Plus, Briv isn't using Briv. He isn't as hands off. He's more kind of active. Like you've got to build up stacks of his tanking ability at the end of a run to be able to then have jumping stacks on the next run. So it's not super friendly with automation until you get to a certain level, and then it kind of becomes worth it. But it's until it becomes worth it, he actually slows you down a bit. So he's not in my speed formation, but I use Human because Human's very hands off. Is there a good time to use the 7-day potions for increased gem, gold, Modron? I mean, depends on what you're doing. I plan on holding on to the gem one until I'm doing a hardcore 7 days of gem farming where all I'm doing is just speed farming gems, so that I get the most bang for my buck. But as a new player, just freaking use it. Like, just use the gem one and get that bonus. Just make sure that you're actively playing during those 7 days so that it's not wasted. As for the gold or the power, like there's also these, like this is global damage by 100%. That's gold by 100%. I mean, if you know you're going to be doing a lot of pushes, get your double damage. You might as well, right? Maybe when an event drops, if you're newer and you want that extra bonus for the event, because both double damage and double gold are going to help you progress in the event faster. And then the one for the Modron is like, if you need those bonuses, again, if you're going to be doing deep pushes, if you're going to be pushing your wall or something, then you go for the Modron bonuses. But I feel like you hold the Modron one. This is why I didn't like that it was a buff in the past, and I like that it's a potion now, is you kind of want to wait until you have a level 15 fully epic Modron to get the full 50% out of it. Do you have a champion that you really like his or her design or his or her mechanic? Well, just overall, like my favorite champion is Black Viper. But as in terms of like in-game mechanics, I mean, they're all really cool. I don't know. Well, I don't know that they're all really cool, but they all have unique things. So I don't know that I have a favorite in terms of like what they're doing in the game or what I like, because I like lots of different things. I mean, this is the thing. This is why I collect them all, because they all have unique little things that they can do and have their own niche uses. But just in terms of overall like lore and character design and stuff, that's Black Viper, even though they aren't super strong in game. How do you get time tokens? You mean time gate pieces? You get them out of boss bags, but you only get like one every 5 days. There's a timer. So once you pick up one, you can't pick up another one until the timer ticks down. It's about 5 days. And then you can pick up one again. So once every 5 days, you'll just get one randomly by loot. You don't have to farm them or anything. You can also buy them. Once you unlock patrons, you can buy them. One per patron per week in their shop. Is 2.5 million Meister's favor a reasonable point to stop farming the time gate? I don't know, because I don't know what that is. Hold on. Let me do the E. I do E numbers. I don't do the... So 2.5 million would be, what, 2.5 EO6? No, I mean, that's fine. If you finished all 3 chests, like if you got all 3 adventures done, I mean, that's the main thing. So as long as you were able to complete both the base adventures and the variant, and you think you've gotten to whatever, like if you got the level 100 chest, Like, I don't know how. It's more important, not like the favor isn't as important to me as how far, what level you push to. So or not Bewitched Ramen, what level did you get to? Right? Like, if you got to 197, then I'm going to tell you, you should probably try to push to 200. That's more important than the favor. The favor is just a bonus. What evergreen champions can be unlocked through storyline besides Dritz, Dragonbait, and Azaka? So Dritz is Sword Coast. Azaka and Dragonbait are Tomb of Annihilation. Alcoria is Waterdeep Dragon Heist. She's at the very end. You can get Hitch out of the newsletter. That's Evergreen. And then the newest Evergreen is all the way towards the end, almost to the end of Descent into Avernus. However, that's currently an end game pickup. If newer players aren't going to be able to do that. Even some mid-game players won't be able to do that. It's rough. It's rough. 185 is where you hit a hard wall. Then, yeah, I mean, at 185, if you've done a couple free plays and you just can't seem to push further, then you're done. But that's where you judge it, is like, how far are you pushing in a time gate? If you can grab that, if you can hit 200 or 300, like, easily, do it. But if it's taking up too much effort and time, then don't bother. Foxen, how do you balance gold find versus speed versus DPS when trying to progress as a new player? So you use your speed at the beginning of a run. And then, I consider there to be multiple walls. So there's your first soft wall is when you were using speed champions, and then you hit a wall and you can't push any further. Then you start slowly swapping in power champions. And then eventually you just end up with a full power push formation. You don't worry about gold find champions so much. You just take your gold find as you can get it. Gold find is something you only worry about once you've unlocked Azaka, and you're going to then gold farm with Azaka. But you still do speed to get to a soft wall, then slowly shifting out into pushing champions, push as far as you can with your pushing champions, then do an Azaka setup. And if you don't know Azaka, there's a video for that. Better to speed multiple runs without pushing far? No. Gold find without getting to wall? No. Push wall. I push my wall every time when I'm doing basic adventures, but not in a variant. So whenever I'm playing through a campaign for the first time, I do each adventure as far as I can go, and I treat them like favor runs. So I just push deep to my wall and then I reset. But again, I don't sit at a wall more than, for me, I don't sit at a wall more than like 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Do you have a guide for best setups for core starter heroes? I do have a guide to formation, like strategy 101. There's a written in a video guide, and that's the best thing for figuring out how to do your build formations. There is also a guide to the core champions. There's a video guide to the core champions that you can learn just about the core champions up on the CNE YouTubes. I'm going real fast now because, man, the questions came in hot and heavy in the second half. There were not this many earlier. Are there enough magic damage users to make Alcoria useful now? It depends on the formation, but people are using her, seeing a lot of use with her in Char formations. That's probably where you'd make it happen. Also, early when you're buffing Orkira and Alcoria can work together well. But then you'd swap out maybe different later. Maybe. It just depends. Should I spend 10k gems on a familiar or gold chest? Lettuce King Jr. The question I would ask you is, are your champions in all blue gear? Or are they still in whites and greens? If they're in whites and greens, you want to buy chests. But if your core champions are, at least have blues with a smattering of purples, then buy that familiar. Is it worthwhile to use the potions that bud to click damage? So fire breath potions, sometimes they can help you clear levels faster, even when click damage wouldn't, right? So like once your click damage stops, you could use fire breath potions to keep clicking things to death based off the power of your formation. Was Mad Wizards nerfed? I've had zero gems drop off a run, or maybe one gem. No, it wasn't. You just have bad RNG on that round. When do you unlock Modrons? Modrons come from Split the Party, so there's a guide for that. Once you have at least 2 champions in each slot, so one swap in every slot at minimum, you'll be able to run Split the Party. If you beat Split the Party, you get your first Modron. If you beat Split the Party 2, you get your second, or you can pay 500,000 gems for one after you've done the first one. Any recommendation for Avernus Might Makes Right No Patron? I'm stuck on level 599. Not off the top of my head, but hit up Discord and hashtag formations. They can take a look at your formation. You just show them what it looks like, and they can tell you if there's anything you could do better there. As always, if you're not using potions, that's what they're for. They're for hard stuff. Does the term adjacent mean in the same vertical row, or is it before or behind? It means touching. So if I look at Black Viper, there's 6 potential adjacencies here. 3 of them are being used. The other 3 are down below. A tank has, in this formation, has 2 potential adjacencies. So it's anything touching in this circle, adjacent to, next to. Does gem potion only affect boss bag gems? Yes. Been stuck on a boss for 2 days and could barely get his armor down. Stop it. I hope you've not been in the same run. Just reset it. Yes. Should I just reset the run? Yes. Never spend more than 30 minutes to an hour trying to beat one boss or sitting at a wall. Reset. Come back with more power. You earned a lot of favor. Come back with it and use it. I know that's a hard thing for people to understand that come from other idle games. Don't sit and farm forever. That's not what this game is about. This game is about resetting and taking that power and carrying it into... You reset all the time. Take that power into the next run. Are we going to finish this? I'm going to try, Jay. We got like 60 seconds. Do the bonuses you get from Motor and Core only affect the party in that core slot? Yes. How does one keep unlocking story-relevant, non-variant missions? You keep playing through the story. You play the story, and eventually the story ends. There's an end to every story. When you've done, no more nodes will unlock, and then you move to a new campaign, or you go back and start doing variants. But by that point, you should have maxed out your blessings if you're at the end of the story, or be close to it. I just started playing, wondered if pets were worth familiars, is what you're talking about. Worth buying? Yeah. I got the hand for free after opening chests. I got it from the codes and getting 250 gems, but I saw some for $4.99. I was thinking of getting them too. I love them because I like the automation that it provides. And there's something that will be functional as a new player, and then also when you're a veteran player like me after 3.5 years, they're still functional. And the further you get in the game, the more cores you get, the more familiars you need. So yeah, there's never a time where familiars aren't going to be doing work for you. Final question, folks. Is the speed core faster than the other cores for a background party? Not for a background party. I mean, maybe if you have it level 15 and the potion type effect is working, but speed doesn't, generally speaking, speed doesn't work in background parties. That's it, folks. If any came in at the last second, we're out of time. Sorry. Join me again. Oh, it's this week, folks. I was going to say on Friday for GG2E, but no, Thursday, the 29th, I will be back answering questions. The GG2E shows, I will have GG2E, Gaarawarr's Guide to Everything NL Champions, which is the full Q&A show, both Thursday and Friday next week. And we will also have a Saturday show. So you get 3 days in a row of me. Sorry. But I can answer all your questions. Mars will be back too. Mars answers questions on his shows on Wednesdays. He'll also be, I think, streaming on one of the other days. I don't remember which. So yeah. Other than that, we're going to go out on a song for Spurt. This was one of the first ones. This was episode 2 of Bardic Inspiration, folks. We're going to have those songs so that the audio isn't super great because this was back when Zoom was still giving them issues. But this is a song for Spurt. Take care of yourselves. Protect you and others by following guidelines in your area for masks and distancing and such. And I will see you next week. Bye, everyone.
I just turned 11 days old. That ancient dragon too cold bold. Got my brother by my side. He was eaten by a slime. Everywhere I go, it's just along for the ride. Walking through the underdark. Hammer hit me very hard. never made it very far. Brothers walking hand in slime on our final march. Short life, big heart. Ask me 3 more questions, I'll tell you what I can. Lived a long life for a kobold, not too long for man. You can ask me about Pepe, you can ask me about my friends. I can show you how to use my stick with stingy on the end. Before the hammer hit my head, I cried out, you dead. Short life, big heart. Never made it very far. Brothers walking hand in slime on our final march. Short life, big heart. I tell you about the sandy pole I made. Gaarawarr shot through like a grenade. Let my death inspire your crusade as you wander on your way. Short life, big heart. We never made it very far. Brothers walking hand in slime on our final march. Short life, big heart. I just turned 11 days old.